Maya Chen never wanted to be noticed. That's just how she was built, you know? Some people walk into a room and everyone turns their head. Maya was the opposite. She could slip through a crowd like water, quiet and unremarkable. And honestly, that's exactly how she liked it. At 42 years old, she'd settled into a life that suited her perfectly. She worked at the Riverside Public Library, a small brick building tucked between a coffee shop and a dry cleaner on Maple Street. The library smelled like old paper and floor polish, and Maya loved every inch of it. She spent her days organizing books, helping elderly folks figure out the computer system, and reading to children on Tuesday afternoons. Simple work, peaceful work. Nobody at the library knew much about Maya's past. She'd shown up in town 5 years ago, applied for the job, and started working. She never talked about where she came from or why she'd moved. When coworkers invited her to lunch, she'd politely decline with a soft smile. At the Christmas party, she'd show up for exactly 1 hour, eat a cookie, and slip out before the gift exchange. Some people thought she was shy. Others figured she was just stuck up. But the truth was simpler than that. Maya had learned a long time ago that the less people knew about you, the fewer questions they could ask. She dressed in loose, comfortable clothes that had seen better days, faded cardigans, worn jeans, sneakers with scuffed toes. Her black hair was always pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she never wore makeup. Not because she couldn't afford better things, but because she didn't want to stand out. Blending in had become second nature to her, like breathing. Every day followed the same routine. Maya would arrive at the library at 8:30 in the morning, unlock the doors at 9, and spend her day lost in the quiet rhythm of library work. At 6 o'clock, she'd lock up, walk to her old Honda in the parking lot, and drive home to her small apartment. Most evenings, she'd make a simple dinner, read for a few hours, and go to bed early. But 3 times a week, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, Maya would drive 40 miles to the next town over. She never told anyone where she went. She never mentioned what she did there. That part of her life existed in a separate box, sealed tight and private. The trouble started on a Tuesday in late September. Maya had just finished the afternoon story time and was walking to her car when she first saw them. 3 women, probably in their early 30s, were coming out of the community center next door. They were loud, laughing about something, dressed in expensive workout clothes that probably cost more than Maya's entire wardrobe. The tallest one, a blonde with perfect makeup, looked Maya up and down as they passed. Maya noticed but didn't react. She'd been looked at like that before. Like she was furniture. Like she didn't matter. "Did you see that outfit?" one of them said, not even trying to lower her voice. They erupted in laughter as Maya reached her car. Maya's hand didn't shake as she unlocked the door. Her face didn't flush. She simply got in, started the engine, and drove away. She'd dealt with mean people before. This was nothing new. But it didn't stop there. The next day, the 3 women were there again. This time they were sitting on the bench outside the community center, right next to where Maya had to walk to reach the parking lot. As she approached, carrying a stack of books to drop off at the book return, the blonde stood up and deliberately stepped into her path. "Excuse me," Maya said quietly, trying to step around her. "Oh, excuse you," the woman said with mock politeness. Her friends giggled. Maya walked around them, her heart beating a little faster now, but her face still calm. By Friday, it had become a pattern. The 3 women seemed to time their community center visits to match Maya's work schedule. They'd be there when she arrived in the morning, and when she left in the evening. And every single time they had something to say. "Nice shoes. Did you get those from a dumpster? Somebody needs to teach her what a hairbrush is." "I can't believe they let her work with the public looking like that." Maya continued to ignore them. She'd learned long ago that bullies fed on reactions. If you didn't give them what they wanted, they'd eventually get bored and move on. At least that's what she told herself. But these 3 didn't get bored. Week 2 brought new tactics. They started taking pictures of her when she walked by, not even trying to hide it. Maya would hear the camera click and the burst of laughter that followed. She knew they were posting those photos somewhere online, probably with cruel captions. Still, she said nothing. Did nothing. Just kept walking. The library director, Mrs. Patterson, was the first person to notice something was wrong. She was a kind woman in her 60s with reading glasses that hung on a chain around her neck. She'd always treated Maya with respect, never pushing her to be more social than she wanted to be. "Maya, dear," she said one afternoon, "is everything all right?" You seem more withdrawn than usual. Maya looked up from the cart of books she was shelving. I'm fine, Mrs. Patterson, just tired. Are those women from the community center bothering you? I've seen them hanging around the parking lot. For a moment, Maya almost told her everything, almost explained that yes, they were bothering her. That it was getting worse each day, that she was starting to feel anxious about leaving work. But what would that accomplish? Mrs. Patterson couldn't do anything about people harassing her in a public parking lot. It would just create drama and draw attention. Exactly what Maya spent her whole life trying to avoid. No, they're harmless, Maya said with a gentle smile. Just some people taking fitness classes next door. Mrs. Patterson didn't look convinced, but she didn't push. Well, if you ever need anything, you know where to find me. That night, Maya sat in her apartment with a cup of tea, staring at nothing in particular. Her life had been so peaceful, so simple. Why did these women care so much about someone they didn't even know? What had she done to deserve their attention? She walked to her bedroom closet and pushed aside the winter coats hanging in front. Behind them, carefully stored in a garment bag, hung something she hadn't looked at in months. A black belt. The fabric was worn soft from years of use, the ends frayed slightly. Her name was embroidered on it in small white letters. Maya ran her fingers over the belt, remembering the 15 years it had taken to earn it. The early morning training sessions, the competitions, the broken bones and bruised ribs, the meditation, the discipline, the philosophy that had been drilled into her head over and over again. Martial arts was not about fighting. It was about self-control, about protecting yourself and others, about using force only when every other option had been exhausted. Her sensei, Master Kim, had been very clear on that point. Your skills are a last resort, he'd told her at her black belt ceremony. The strongest person in the room is the one who never has to prove it. Maya had lived by that principle. When she'd moved to this town 5 years ago, she'd deliberately chosen a dojo far away where nobody knew her. She trained in private, never mentioned it to anyone, never let it become part of her identity here, because being known as the karate lady was still being known, still being noticed. She let the garment bag fall closed and went back to the living room. Those 3 women would get bored eventually. They had to. People always did. But deep down, in a place she didn't want to examine too closely, Maya was starting to wonder if she was wrong about that. And she was starting to wonder what she would do if they didn't stop. She sipped her tea and pushed the thought away. Tomorrow was Wednesday, training day. She'd go to the dojo, work out her frustration on the heavy bag, and come back centered and calm. Everything would be fine, it had to be. The harassment didn't get better. It got worse. By the 3rd week, the 3 women had learned Maya's schedule down to the minute. They knew exactly when she arrived, when she took her lunch break, and when she left for the day. And they made sure to be there for all of it. The blonde's name was Veronica. Maya had overheard the others calling her that. She seemed to be the ringleader, the one who came up with new ways to make Maya's life miserable. The other 2 followed her lead like puppies. One was a redhead named Brittany who laughed at everything Veronica said, even when it wasn't funny. The third was a shorter woman with dark hair called Ashley, who usually held the phone, recording everything. It started small. They'd be in Maya's way when she tried to get to her car. She'd have to walk around them while they pretended not to notice, then burst out laughing once she passed. Or they'd be sitting on the hood of her Honda, forcing her to ask them to move. They'd take their time getting up, making a big show of it. "Oh, sorry, didn't see you there," Veronica would say with fake sweetness. "You're just so easy to miss." Maya kept her face neutral, kept walking, kept breathing. This would pass. Everything passed eventually, but then things escalated. One morning, Maya came out to find her windshield covered in sticky notes. Dozens of them. Each one had a different insult written in pink marker. Ugly. Pathetic. Nobody likes you. Get a makeover. Maya peeled them off one by one, her hands steady even though her chest felt tight. The 3 women watched from across the parking lot, recording the whole thing on their phones. The next day, someone had poured coffee on her driver's seat. The day after that, her antenna was bent at an odd angle. Then her tire was mysteriously flat. Not slashed, just flat. Nothing she could prove was deliberate. Nothing she could report to the police. Inside the library, Maya's concentration started slipping. She'd catch herself staring out the window, watching for them. Her stomach would twist into knots an hour before her shift ended. Mrs. Patterson noticed the dark circles under her eyes, but stopped asking if everything was okay. Maya's "I'm fine" had become less and less convincing. The worst part was that it didn't stay in the parking lot anymore. One afternoon, Maya was at the grocery store after work, just trying to buy food for the week. She was in the produce section, examining tomatoes, when she heard that familiar laugh. Her whole body tensed. She looked up to see all three women at the end of the aisle, pointing at her and whispering to each other, loud enough for her to hear, quiet enough to seem like they weren't trying to be heard. "Is that the library lady? Oh my God, it is. Does she ever change clothes? Probably can't afford to on a librarian salary." More laughter. Maya put down the tomato she was holding, left her cart right there in the middle of the store and walked out. She didn't buy groceries that day. She went home and ate crackers and peanut butter for dinner. After that, she started seeing them everywhere. At the bank, at the post office, outside the coffee shop. At first, Maya thought it was coincidence. The town wasn't that big. You ran into people. But then she realized they were following her. Actually following her. They'd see her car, recognize it, and decide to make her day a little worse. It became a game for them. A source of entertainment. Maya started changing her routine. She'd leave work at different times, take different routes home, shop at different stores, but somehow they still found her. And when they did, out came the phones. More pictures. More videos. More laughter. At work, Maya became a ghost. She barely spoke unless someone asked her a direct question. During story time, she still read to the children with warmth and enthusiasm, because kids didn't deserve to be around her darkness. But the moment the last child left, her face would fall back into that careful, neutral mask. One of her co-workers, a young man named Kevin who worked part-time while going to college, finally said something. "Hey Maya, are you okay?" Like really okay? They were in the back room, processing returned books. Maya kept scanning barcodes without looking up. "I'm fine, Kevin, thank you for asking. It's just you seem really stressed lately. And I saw those women yesterday. They were taking pictures of you through the window. That's creepy, right? Shouldn't we call someone?" Maya's hand paused over the scanner. She looked at Kevin, this sweet 20-year-old kid who still believed the world was fair and that problems could be solved by calling the right authority figure. "It's nothing," she said quietly. "They're harmless. Just bored people with too much time on their hands. But Maya..." "Kevin, please. I appreciate your concern, but I'm handling it." She wasn't handling it. She was enduring it. There was a difference. That night, Maya drove the 40 miles to her dojo. She'd been going to Master Kim's school for 12 years now, ever since she'd moved to the state. The building was old and plain, tucked in an industrial area where nobody asked questions. Inside, the floors were worn wood and the walls were covered with faded tournament posters. It smelled like sweat and floor wax and history. Master Kim was in his 70s now, still strong and sharp as ever. He took one look at Maya's face when she walked in and knew something was wrong. "Your mind is cluttered tonight," he said in his quiet way. "I can see it from across the room." Maya bowed respectfully. "I'm sorry, Master. I'll focus. Before focus comes honesty." "What troubles you?" She hesitated. Master Kim had always told his students that martial arts training was as much about the mind as the body, that you couldn't separate the two. So Maya told him, not everything but enough, about the three women, the harassment, the photos. The following, Master Kim listened without interrupting. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "And what have you done about this?" he asked. "Nothing. I ignore them. Like you taught us. Walk away from conflict when possible." "Yes, walk away from conflict. But Maya, walking away implies you are moving in a different direction. From what you tell me, you are standing still while they circle you like wolves." Maya felt something crack inside her chest. He was right. She wasn't walking away. She was just taking it. "What should I do?" she asked, hating how small her voice sounded. "That is not for me to decide, but I will tell you what I have told you many times before. Your training is not just for the mat. It is for your life. Confidence, boundaries, presence. These are not things you put on and take off like a uniform. Either you have them, or you do not." That night, Maya trained harder than she had in months. She worked the heavy bag until her knuckles ached. She sparred with the advanced students until her legs trembled. She practiced her kata until every movement was sharp and precise, and when she finally stopped, drenched in sweat and breathing hard, she felt clearer than she had in weeks. She was done being a victim. But the very next day, the universe tested that resolve. Maya was leaving the library at closing time. It was getting dark earlier now that October was here. The parking lot was mostly empty except for her Honda and a few other cars. She was halfway to her vehicle when she heard footsteps behind her. "Hey, library lady." Maya's jaw tightened, but she kept walking. "We're talking to you." More footsteps. Faster now. They were catching up. Maya's hand tightened on her bag strap. She could feel her heart rate increasing, but not from fear. From something else. Something that felt like anger mixed with adrenaline. She reached her car and turned to face them. All three women stood there in the fading light, blocking her path to the driver's door. "You've been ignoring us," Veronica said, crossing her arms. "That's rude, you know." "Please move," Maya said calmly. "I'd like to go home." "Please move," Brittany mimicked in a whiny voice. "I'd like to go home." "God, you're so pathetic. Don't you ever stand up for yourself?" Ashley was recording, of course. The phone pointed right at Maya's face. "I'm asking you nicely," Maya said, keeping her voice level. "Please let me get to my car." Veronica stepped closer. Close enough that Maya could smell her perfume. "Or what? What are you going to do about it, church mouse? You going to tell the teacher?" Something in Maya's expression must have shifted because Veronica's smile faltered for just a second. But then she recovered, laughing it off. "Ooh, scary face. Did you practice that in the mirror?" Maya took a slow breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. The way Master Kim had taught her. "Center yourself, stay calm. Do not react from emotion." "I don't want trouble," Maya said quietly. "I just want to live my life." "Why can't you leave me alone?" For a moment, just a moment, something that might have been shame flickered across Brittany's face. But Veronica bulldozed right over it. "Because you're weird," she said flatly. "You dress like a homeless person. You never talk to anyone. You walk around like you're better than everyone else with your quiet little act. Somebody needed to knock you down a peg." "I never said I was better than anyone," Maya replied. Her hands were shaking now, but not from fear. From restraint. From holding back the part of herself that wanted to show them exactly what she was capable of. But she couldn't. She wouldn't. That wasn't who she was. "Just move," Maya said one more time. "Please." Maya spent the weekend thinking. Really thinking. Not about revenge or getting even, but about boundaries. About respect. About how much of yourself you give away when you let people treat you like you don't matter. On Saturday morning, she made the drive to Master Kim's dojo. She was early, before class started. Master Kim was there, as he always was, sweeping the floor with slow meditative movements. "Master Kim," she said, "can I ask you something?" He stopped sweeping and gave her his full attention. "Of course. You've always taught us that our training is for self-defense, that we should avoid conflict. Walk away when we can. But what happens when you can't walk away? When the conflict follows you?" Master Kim set the broom aside and sat down on one of the benches along the wall. He gestured for Maya to sit beside him. "Tell me, Maya, in all your years of training, what is the most important thing I have taught you?" Maya thought about it. "Control. Of my body, my mind, my reactions." "Yes. And what does control mean to you?" "It means not acting on impulse. Not letting anger guide my actions. Not using my skills unless absolutely necessary." "Correct. But control also means something else. It means knowing your worth. Setting boundaries. A person with true control does not allow others to push them past what is acceptable." He looked at her with steady, knowing eyes. "You have been very controlled in not fighting these women. But you have not been controlled in allowing them to continue." Maya felt those words hit her like a physical thing. "So what should I do?" "What feels right to you?" "I don't know. Part of me wants to just keep ignoring them until they get bored. But another part..." She trailed off. "Another part wants to stand up for yourself." Master Kim finished. "Both instincts are natural. But remember this. Self-defense is not just about blocking punches. It is about defending your right to exist peacefully in the world. Sometimes that defense requires words. Sometimes presence. And sometimes, yes, physical action. But always, always it requires courage." Maya trained that day with a new intensity. Not aggressive. Not angry. Just focused. Clear. When she left the dojo, something inside her had shifted. She wasn't going to hide anymore. Monday morning, Maya did something different. Instead of wearing her usual faded cardigan and worn jeans, she chose clothes that fit properly. Nothing fancy, just clean pants and a neat sweater. She brushed her hair and left it down instead of pulling it back. She even put on a little lip gloss, something she hadn't done in months. When she arrived at work, Kevin did a double take. "Wow, Maya, you look nice today." "Thank you," she said with a genuine smile. It felt strange on her face, like a muscle she'd forgotten how to use. Mrs. Patterson noticed too. "Well, don't you look lovely, dear? Special occasion?" "No," Maya said. "Just felt like making an effort." The truth was more complicated. Maya was tired of making herself small, tired of dressing like she was trying to disappear. Those 3 women had made her feel like she needed to hide, and she'd let them. But no more. When 6 o'clock came and it was time to leave, Maya felt her stomach tighten with familiar anxiety. She packed her bag slowly, knowing what was waiting for her in the parking lot. But this time, instead of dreading it, she felt something else. Determination. Sure enough, all 3 women were there, sitting on the bench outside the community center, watching the library entrance like hawks watching prey. When Maya walked out, Veronica stood up with that cruel smile already on her face. "Well, well, look who got dressed up. Got a hot date, library lady?" Maya walked toward her car without responding. "Hey, I'm talking to you," Veronica said, stepping into her path again. Maya stopped. She looked directly at Veronica for the first time in weeks, really looked at her, and what she saw was someone who was probably insecure and unhappy, taking it out on a stranger because it made her feel powerful. "Excuse me," Maya said calmly. "I need to get to my car." "Make me move," Veronica challenged. "I'm not going to do that," Maya replied. "I'm just asking you, one person to another, to let me pass. You don't even know me." "Why are you doing this?" The question seemed to catch Veronica off guard. For a second, her expression flickered with something like confusion. But then Brittany laughed, breaking the moment. "Because it's funny," Brittany said. "Because you make it so easy." Maya nodded slowly. "I see, so you're doing this because you can. Because I haven't stopped you." "Exactly," Veronica said, recovering her swagger. "What are you going to do about it?" "I'm going to ask you one more time to leave me alone. Please. I don't want to involve the police or file harassment charges, but I will if this continues." Veronica laughed. "Harassment? We're just standing here. It's a free country. You've been following me, taking pictures without my consent, vandalizing my car. That's harassment, and I have witnesses." Maya gestured to the library window where Mrs. Patterson was watching, along with Kevin and 2 other staff members. For the first time, doubt crossed Veronica's face. "Now please move," Maya said firmly. "I'm done asking nicely." Something in her tone, in her posture, made Veronica step aside. Not far, but enough. Maya walked to her car, got in, and drove away. Her hands were shaking on the steering wheel, but she'd done it. She'd stood up for herself with words, with presence, exactly like Master Kim had said. But she knew this wasn't over. The next 2 weeks were tense. The women still showed up, but they kept their distance. More glaring, less direct confrontation. Maya started documenting everything. Times, dates, what they said or did. She told Mrs. Patterson the full story, who immediately offered to call the police. But Maya wanted to wait. To see if her boundary setting had worked. It hadn't. The women were just regrouping, planning something bigger. It came on a Friday evening. Maya was loading books into her car, boxes of donations that needed to go to the community center next door, ironically. She'd made 3 trips and had 1 more box to get when she heard car doors slam. She looked up to see not 3 women, but 5. Veronica, Brittany, and Ashley had brought friends. 2 women Maya had never seen before. They were all walking toward her with purpose, and there was something in their body language that made Maya's training instincts kick in immediately. This was different. This was dangerous. "We need to talk," Veronica said, but her tone wasn't playful anymore. It was aggressive. They'd been drinking. Maya could smell alcohol even from several feet away. "I don't think there's anything to talk about," Maya said calmly, though her heart was racing. She positioned herself near her car door, calculating distances, exits, options. "Oh, we think there is," Brittany said. She was holding her phone up, recording again. "You've been telling people we're harassing you. That's slander. You could get us in trouble. You are harassing me." Maya said simply, and it needs to stop. All of you need to leave me alone. Or what? Veronica moved closer. The other four fanned out, encircling Maya. This was tactical. They'd planned this. Maya's training kicked into high gear. She assessed each person. Their stance, their positioning, their body language. Veronica was the most aggressive, probably the most dangerous. Brittany was drunk and unsteady. Ashley was nervous, hanging back. The two new women looked uncertain, like they weren't sure what they'd signed up for. Please don't do this, Maya said clearly. Whatever you're thinking of doing, don't. Just walk away. All of you. Maybe we should teach you some respect, Veronica said, getting even closer. She was within arm's reach now. Teach you not to run your mouth about people. Maya's body was calm, even though adrenaline flooded her system. 15 years of training had taught her how to stay centered in chaos. She spoke clearly, making sure Ashley's phone caught every word. I'm asking you to leave. I don't want to fight. I just want to go home, please. Veronica smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Too late for please. She pushed Maya. Not hard, just a testing push. Seeing what Maya would do, Maya didn't react. Didn't push back. Just stood her ground. Last chance, Maya said quietly. Walk away. Veronica laughed and looked back at her friends. Did you hear that? She's giving us a last chance. What a joke. Then Veronica turned back to Maya and swung. A wild, wide punch aimed right at Maya's face, and everything changed. Maya's body moved before her mind fully registered it. 15 years of muscle memory took over. She slipped the punch easily, stepping to the side so Veronica's fist hit only air. In the same motion, Maya's hand came up in a controlled block, redirecting Veronica's arm. Veronica stumbled off balance from her own momentum. She tried again, throwing another punch. This time, Maya didn't just dodge. She caught Veronica's wrist, stepped in close, and used a basic Aikido technique to guide Veronica's own force against her. A quick turn, a pressure point on the wrist, and Veronica was on her knees, gasping. It had taken maybe 2 seconds. Brittany screamed something and lunged at Maya. Maya released. Maya didn't sleep that night. She sat on her couch, replaying everything in her mind. Had she done the right thing? Had she used too much force? Not enough? The questions circled like vultures. Around midnight, her phone buzzed. It was Master Kim. She stared at the screen, surprised. He never called this late. Hello? Maya, I heard what happened. Are you all right? Word traveled fast, apparently. How did you know? The video is online. One of my students saw it and called me. I wanted to check on you. Maya's stomach dropped. The video? Yes, the one the woman was recording. It shows everything. The whole confrontation. Maya closed her eyes. Of course, Ashley had been filming. And now it was out there for everyone to see. Did I do something wrong? Maya asked quietly. Was I too aggressive? Should I have done something different? Maya, listen to me carefully. You gave them multiple warnings. You tried to leave. You used minimal force. You defended yourself legally and morally. Anyone who watches that video will see that clearly. But I hurt them. You stopped them from hurting you. There is a difference. You did not strike in anger. You did not continue after the threat ended. You acted exactly as you were trained to act. He paused. How do you feel? Maya thought about it. Shaky, worried, but also relieved. Like something that's been building for weeks finally broke. That is normal. You have been carrying stress for a long time, now rest. Tomorrow will bring what it brings. After they hung up, Maya forced herself to look for the video. It wasn't hard to find. Someone had posted it to several local social media groups. The caption read, "Woman defends herself against bullies." Maya watched with her heart in her throat. The video showed everything. The 5 women surrounding her. Maya asking them to leave over and over. Veronica pushing her. Then the punch. And then Maya's response, which looked even faster on video than it had felt in real life. The comments section was exploding. Hundreds of comments, and they were still coming in. Good for her. Those women got what they deserved. This is incredibly satisfying to watch. I know that librarian. She's always so quiet. I had no idea she could do that. Anyone know if those bullies are facing charges? They literally assaulted her first. That blonde is Veronica Hughes. She's been a mean girl since high school. Karma finally caught up. But there were other comments too. This seems excessive. Did she have to hurt them that badly? She could have just walked away. She's probably going to get sued for assault. Maya closed the app. She couldn't read anymore. She crawled into bed and stared at the ceiling until morning light crept through the windows. Saturday morning, Maya's phone started ringing. Her mother, her aunt, a cousin she hadn't talked to in 5 years. Everyone had seen the video. Everyone wanted to know if she was okay. Why she'd never told them she knew karate. Was she in trouble? Did she need a lawyer? Maya turned off her phone. She drove to the dojo even though she wasn't sure she wanted to train. But Master Kim was there, and just seeing him made her feel steadier. The video has over 50,000 views now, he told her. It's spreading beyond just local groups. Maya felt sick. This is a nightmare. I never wanted attention. That's the whole reason I kept my training private. I know, but perhaps this happened for a reason. Come, let's talk in my office. They sat in the small room where Master Kim handled dojo business. Old tournament photos lined the walls. Certificates in frames. A small tea kettle on a hot plate in the corner. Maya, I want to tell you something about myself, Master Kim began. When I first came to America 40 years ago, I was angry. I had been bullied in Korea for being small. When I learned martial arts, I thought it was about power, about never being weak again. He poured tea for both of them, the ritual familiar and calming. But my master taught me something important. He said, "The fist that is always closed cannot help anyone." What he meant was that strength without purpose is just violence. Real strength is knowing when to fight and when to extend a hand instead. I don't understand. I did extend a hand. I asked them to stop. Multiple times, yes you did. And when they would not stop, you defended yourself. That was correct. But now comes the harder part. What happens next? Do you close your fist and become hard? Or do you remain open to whatever lesson this experience is meant to teach you? Maya sipped her tea, thinking, what lesson could possibly come from this mess? That is for you to discover. Monday morning, Maya almost called in sick. But she'd never been one to run from things, so she got dressed and went to work. The moment she walked into the library, the whole staff turned to look at her. Mrs. Patterson hurried over. Maya, dear, we need to talk. In my office, please. Maya followed, her stomach in knots. This was it. She was going to be fired. The library couldn't keep an employee who'd been in a physical altercation, even if it was self-defense. But when Mrs. Patterson closed the door, she didn't look angry. She looked concerned. First, are you all right? Physically, emotionally? I'm fine, Maya said automatically. Maya, I watched that video a dozen times. I saw everything those women did to you. I saw how many chances you gave them. And I saw you defend yourself with remarkable restraint. Mrs. Patterson sat down behind her desk. I'm not here to reprimand you. I'm here to tell you that you have the full support of this library. And I'm also here to tell you that the police have been asking questions. Maya's heart sank. Am I in trouble? No, dear. The 3 women are. Witnesses have come forward. People who've seen them harassing you for weeks. The police are building a harassment case. They want to talk to you, but as a victim, not a suspect. Maya felt dizzy. I don't want to press charges. I just want this to be over. That may not be entirely your choice anymore. There were multiple witnesses. The incident was recorded. Sometimes these things take on a life of their own. The next few days were surreal. The video kept spreading. A local news station picked up the story. They called it Librarians' Secret Skills Stop Bullies. Maya refused all interview requests, but she couldn't avoid the detective who came to the library on Wednesday. Detective Chen was a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. Ms. Chen, I need to get your statement about what happened Friday night. They sat in the library's back room and Maya told her everything, from the very first insult weeks ago to the final confrontation. The detective took notes and recorded it all. You know, Detective Chen said when Maya finished, we've had complaints about those 3 women before. Bar fights, harassment at the gym, road rage incidents. But nobody ever pressed charges. They always backed down. I didn't press charges either, Maya pointed out. I just wanted them to leave me alone. I understand. But here's the thing. 5 people surrounded you. 1 of them pushed you. Another threw a punch. That's assault. What you did in response was textbook self-defense. The district attorney is very interested in pursuing this case. What happens to them? Depends. Could be probation, community service, anger management classes. Could be more serious if they have prior records. But that's not your concern. Your concern is whether you're willing to testify if this goes to court. Maya thought about it. Part of her wanted to say no, to just let it go. But another part, the part that had been pushed around for weeks, the part that had finally stood up for herself, knew that saying no would send a message to other bullies that they could get away with it. Yes, Maya said. I'll testify. That afternoon, something unexpected happened. A woman came into the library, probably in her 30s, looking nervous. She approached the front desk where Maya was working. Are you Maya Chen? Yes, can I help you with something? The woman took a deep breath. I just wanted to say thank you. I saw the video. I've been dealing with a bully at my office for 6 months, and I've been too afraid to do anything about it. Watching you stand up for yourself made me realize I deserve to be treated with respect too. I filed a complaint with HR this morning. Before Maya could respond, the woman walked away. But she wasn't the last. Over the next few days, more people came in. Some to thank Maya, some to tell their own stories of being bullied, some to ask if she could teach them self-defense. Kevin approached her on Friday. Maya, I know you probably want this whole thing to blow over, but people are really inspired by what you did. There's a petition going around asking if you'd teach a self-defense class at the community center. It already has 200 signatures. The community center? Maya laughed bitterly. The same place those women went? Actually, about that. The community center fired their personal trainer. Turns out she was friends with Veronica and knew about the harassment but didn't report it. They're cleaning house over there. Maya didn't know what to say to that. That evening, she went to see Master Kim. He was teaching a kids' class and Maya watched from the doorway. These children, some as young as 6, were learning discipline and respect and self-control. They were learning that strength wasn't about hurting people. It was about protecting yourself and others. After class, Master Kim came over. You're thinking about teaching. How did you know? Because I know you, Maya. You've spent 5 years hiding your skills. Now the world knows and you're wondering what to do with that knowledge. The community center offered Maya their largest meeting room for free. The manager, a tired-looking man named Robert, apologized profusely for what had happened in their parking lot. We should have paid more attention, he said. Those women had been causing problems for months and we just looked the other way. That's on us. Maya set up her first class for a Thursday evening, 2 weeks after the incident. She expected maybe 15 people to show up. She'd prepared a basic curriculum, awareness, body language, verbal de-escalation, simple defensive techniques. When Thursday arrived, Maya got to the community center an hour early to set up. She was arranging chairs when Robert poked his head in. Maya, you might want to see this. She followed him to the lobby and stopped dead. There was a line, an actual line of people stretching out the door and down the sidewalk. At least 60 people, maybe more. They started showing up half an hour ago, Robert said. I think you're going to need a bigger room. They ended up using the gymnasium. 73 people attended that first class. Men, women, weapon before you ever need to use your hands. And if someone does attack you, how to protect yourself with the minimum force necessary. Master Kim had come to help, along with 3 senior students from his dojo. They broke the group into smaller sections. For the first hour, they didn't practice any physical techniques at all. They talked about awareness, about trusting your instincts, about the power of a firm voice and confident posture. Most bullies are looking for easy victims, Maya explained. They want someone who won't fight back. Sometimes all it takes to stop them is showing that you will. A woman in her 50s raised her hand. But what if that doesn't work? What if they attack anyway? Then you do what you need to do to get away safely. You're not trying to win a fight. You're trying to survive and escape. That's all. They practice simple things. How to break a wrist grab. How to create distance if someone gets too close. How to use your voice to draw attention and get help. Nothing fancy. Nothing that required years of training. At the end of the 2-hour session, people lined up to thank Maya. Some were crying. One woman, probably in her 70s, hugged her tight. I've been afraid to leave my house alone for 5 years, the woman whispered. Not anymore. Thank you. Maya drove home that night feeling exhausted but full. She called Master Kim. 73 people, she said. I can't believe it. I can. You gave them something they needed, hope. Permission to take up space in the world. Is that what you gave me all those years ago? No, Maya. You always had that inside you. I just helped you remember it. The classes continued. Every Thursday, then twice a week when the demand grew. Maya kept working at the library during the day, but her evenings became dedicated to teaching. She discovered she was good at it, patient, clear, able to break down complex techniques into simple steps anyone could follow. Word spread beyond the community. A women's shelter 2 towns over asked if she'd come teach their residents. Maya said yes. A high school wanted her to speak to students about bullying. She did that too. The legal case against Veronica, Brittany, and Ashley moved slowly through the system. Their lawyers tried to argue that Maya had used excessive force, but the video evidence was clear. They'd surrounded her, threatened her, thrown the first punch. One by one, witnesses came forward with stories of the 3 women harassing others. The gym where they worked out banned them. The coffee shop they frequented asked them not to return. 6 months after the incident, the case was finally resolved. Plea deals, probation, community service, mandatory anger management, restraining orders that said they had to stay at least 500 feet away from Maya at all times. Maya felt nothing when she heard the verdict. No satisfaction, no triumph, just relief that it was finally over. But it wasn't quite over. On a rainy Tuesday afternoon, Maya was shelving books in the history section when she heard a tentative voice behind her. "Excuse me?" She turned to find Veronica standing there. She looked different. Hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, no makeup, wearing jeans and a plain sweatshirt. Her eyes were red like she'd been crying. Maya's body tensed instinctively, ready to defend herself. But Veronica held up her hands, palms out. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I know I'm not supposed to be near you, but I had to come. I'll leave right after. I just needed to say something." Maya waited silent. "I'm sorry." Veronica's voice cracked. "I'm so sorry for everything. There's no excuse for what I did. What we did. I've been in therapy trying to figure out why I was so angry at someone I didn't even know. And the truth is, I was miserable. My marriage was falling apart. I hated my job. I felt invisible and powerless. And when I saw you just living your quiet life, not bothering anyone, She wiped her eyes. "I took out all my garbage on you. And that was wrong. Unforgivably wrong." Maya studied her for a long moment. This woman had made her life hell for weeks. Had pushed her to a breaking point. Had forced her to become visible when all she'd wanted was to stay hidden. "Why are you really here?" Maya asked quietly. "Because I saw your video. The one from your class last week. Someone posted it online. You were teaching people how to defend themselves, and you said something that hit me hard. You said, 'Hurt people hurt people.' And I realized that's what I was. A hurt person hurting others because I didn't know how else to deal with my pain." She took a shaky breath. "I can't undo what I did. I can't take back those weeks of harassment. But I wanted you to know that I'm working on myself. I'm trying to become someone who builds people up instead of tearing them down. And I wanted to thank you." "Thank me?" Maya couldn't keep the disbelief out of her voice. "You could have really hurt us that night. Based on what I've learned about your training, you could have put all 3 of us in the hospital. But you didn't. You used exactly enough force to stop us and nothing more. And then in court you asked the judge to go easy on me. Why did you do that?" Maya thought about it. "Because prison wouldn't have changed you. And I didn't want revenge. I just wanted to be left alone. Well, you got through to me when nothing else did. I'm going to AA now. I'm getting divorced, which is the best thing for everyone. And I'm volunteering at a crisis center helping women who are in situations like I was. Trying to pay it forward, I guess." She pulled out a piece of paper and handed it to Maya. "This is my formal apology letter. My therapist helped me write it. You don't have to read it if you don't want to. But I needed to give it to you." Maya took the letter, folded it, and put it in her pocket without looking at it. "I hope you find peace," Maya said simply. "Real peace. Not just the absence of conflict, but actual contentment with your life." Veronica nodded, tears streaming down her face now. "Thank you. And for what it's worth, what you're doing with those classes. Teaching people to protect themselves, it's important work. You're helping people, more than you probably know." She turned to leave, then paused. "One more thing. Brittany and Ashley, they're getting help too. We all are. We're not friends anymore. Can't be, according to the restraining orders. But we're all trying to be better, because of you." After she left, Maya stood in the history section for a long time holding the letter. Finally, she opened it. It was 3 pages, handwritten, a detailed account of everything Veronica had done wrong and why, an acknowledgement of the damage she'd caused, a genuine apology with no excuses, and at the end a simple statement. "You deserved better." "I'm sorry I couldn't see that then." Maya folded the letter back up. She didn't forgive Veronica, not entirely, Some wounds took time to heal, but she appreciated the effort, the courage it took to face someone you'd wronged and own up to it. That evening at her class, Maya told her students what had happened. About Veronica showing up, about the apology. So what did you do? Someone asked. Did you forgive her? I'm working on it, Maya said honestly. Forgiveness isn't a switch you flip. It's a process. But I will say this, seeing someone take responsibility for their actions, seeing them actually change and grow, that makes the process easier. She looked around at the 40 people gathered in the gymnasium. They came from all walks of life, all ages, all backgrounds, but they all had one thing in common. They'd all felt powerless at some point, and they were here to reclaim that power.